You're listening to the Mile You're In podcast. Everything running related from 100 meters to 100 miles. And now, here's your host, Phil Patterson Jr.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Mile You're In podcast. First and foremost, to the three continuous supporters. Let's switch this up. Francine from Pembroke Pines, Becky from Miami, and the anonymous supporter. Switched it up on y'all this time. Thank you guys again for the continued support and love, supporting the show, the passion, the hobby. I don't know if I really have dreams for this podcast, but we'll say that too. I want to get right into this. This is a serious topic. I was having this conversation with a friend last week, and I really got inspired to talk about this. And some things happened during the week that kind of prevent it from happening faster than I would have liked. But I have found the time, and I want to get this out while it's still on my heart, and while I feel like it could reach somebody in their time of need. We were talking about kind of a few different things, but all along the lines of never having enough, or never feeling like you have enough, always desiring more, never being content, never feeling satisfied. It kind of started with a conversation around alcohol and drugs, and it really got me thinking about, when you think about people who drink, they typically start out with something light because they know they can't handle too much, or they're afraid of what could happen. So it's something small like a beer, something, a low alcohol per volume percentage or something along those lines. And then, once their body gets used to it, or they don't feel the same thing, the buzz, the tipsiness, whatever it may be, they move on to something stronger, and that continues on and on. It may start with shots and then get into mixed drinks, or just straight drinks, whatever it may be. But it's like they start with something light, and eventually, because they're never satisfied, they keep going until, as I can admit, and I've done on other shows before, I got to those points of just never feeling satisfied and always drinking until you end up blacked out drunk and not remembering what you did or what you said, or feeling like crap the next morning, the next day, or later that day, depending on how early you started. Because again, you're not satisfied, and you're seeking that throughout the day. You become addicted, and that moved us along into like the drug side of things, right? Some people, maybe they do start with cigarettes, but some start with weed. But you see some people where it's never enough. They're always seeking that high, seeking the next high, what high they can get that's better than the previous one. So it turns into like cocaine or heroin or all these other like random things. And actually, now when I think about going back to the last one, when I was thinking about drinking, how like, I forget what it's called now, but like the stuff Lil Wayne was drinking and mixing, like stuff like that. Like people start creating things and coming up with things and ways to get that new high, that next high, that better high, because they're never satisfied. It's never enough. Your body gets used to it, and you seek more. I think about relationships. Like, this is why I feel like a lot of people cheat, because that love kind of wears off, that honeymoon stage wears off, and you kiss the same person, you have sex with the same person, you do all the same things with the same person, and unfortunately for some people that gets boring, that gets old, and then they look for it from somebody else. Even though it's the same thing they're getting for the most part, they're just getting it from someone else because it brings that new high, that newness that you get out of a new relationship or a friendship or situation. And it's why some people can be content with just dating. They're okay with short-term relationships, because for them that new relationship every few months or every few years is better, where other people, it's like they want that high that comes from the continued relationship. So it starts with dating, and then it goes into marriage, and then it goes into kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like there's we all have different levels and different goals and dreams and desires and passions that we chase. So finding that new way to achieve that is different within each one of us. I think of people in their careers that move from job to job to job. I've done that before. You work at the one job, you start there, everything's fun, everything's exciting, everything's new, and then you know, maybe it's a lack of advancement or raises, or just in general you find that maybe you're not as passionate about that career or job as you thought you might be, or you were at one time, or ownership changes, leadership changes, you know, so many different factors can come into play, and you move from job to job to job, seeking that one job that's going to make you happy. And sometimes we struggle to find that. Some people find that career that no longer feels like they're working, and many of us just keep searching. I think about, you know, if we throw it into the running aspect, right? We go from race to race. People sign up for one race and they get that thrill, that high of that race, and now they seek another one that's more popular, that has more crowd support, that has maybe a bigger medal or better swag, or a different location. Like they look for things within the race that will get them excited, that new high to get them going for that race. Maybe it's a new distance, going from 5Ks to 10Ks up to half marathons and full marathons. Like for me, that was something I struggled with. Like after I did a couple 5Ks, I wanted to do more. Personally, I wasn't too into chasing after times. I did at one point decide I wanted to break that sub 20-minute 5K goal. But even then, once I did it, it was like, okay, what's next? Do I really want to keep chasing that, or do I want to chase a faster goal with a different distance? You know, I'd been there. You guys know I talked about chasing the PR in the half marathon, and I still to this day am trying to well, I shouldn't say trying. I'll be honest. I've given up on trying to break 24 hours in the 100-mile race. And I think part of it, like I still try. Honestly, in my race in 2 weeks, if the time is looking right, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to start pushing myself to see if I can do it. But that desire is not there anymore. And that disappointment when I don't do it is not there anymore, because I realized just from previous experiences of the 5K PR that I got, the half marathon PR that I got, the full marathon PR that I got. When I got all those PRs, I was satisfied in that moment, but I guarantee you within hours, I was already like, okay, what's next? Like I felt empty again. Like I needed something else to chase. It was never enough. Once you hit that goal, you kind of have this emptiness. Like, now what? I did it. Especially if it's a goal you chase for so long. It's like, now what? Like, I feel like that's why some people even continue. Obviously, continuing your education is always good. You're advancing your opportunities, your career, your knowledge. There's many positive reasons for continuing to get your degrees and higher degrees and education certificates, all these things that you can do. But I feel like for some people, it's because they get that one and it's not enough. Like they chased that goal to get that degree, that certification, whatever it is, for so long, and now it's like I have nothing to chase. I have nothing to motivate me, nothing to inspire me to keep going. So I have to find something, and I feel like that's part of it. Even for like us runners, like we make the joke, especially in the ultra running community, like you finish that 100-miler and within a week you're already looking for the next one to sign up for, because it's like I need something. Like I'm addicted to that thrill, that passion of chasing a goal, training for something, and not just doing this because I want to do it. We have this idea that when we get what we want, we're going to be happy. And for some people, that is true. But for many others, it's not. Because once you get what you thought was going to make you happy, you want something else. You want, again, something more. I remember when I was a kid, and I did this multiple times, but I remember growing up, this is going to take some of y'all back, but my parents had an Atari, and I played with that. But then I went to my friend's house, and he had a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo, one of those two. Nintendo, that came first. And I was like, oh, I want one of those. And I told my parents, and they were like, all right, well, if you get this, you can't ask for nothing else. And I was like, no, if I get this, I'll be happy. I won't want nothing else. And I got it. And for like a while I was, until Sega Genesis came out. And I saw a friend with a Sega Genesis, and I got to play with his Sega Genesis. Now I wanted a Sega Genesis. And I just, save cycle. If you get me this, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? Nintendo 64. And then PlayStation. Then eventually I got my own money, so then I could just buy what I wanted. But that's that mentality, right? You see something, someplace, someone, you want it, you get it, you love it, and then it kind of fades. That honeymoon phase fades away, and now you're kind of bored with what you have because it's not new anymore. It's not exciting anymore. And again, that's why relationships. I'm big on love languages. You got to speak those because it keeps you and your partner in love. It keeps the relationship going. It keeps it strong. It keeps each other feeling wanted and needed and desired. And for us as humans, we look for things to chase after that give us that thrill, that dopamine, and make us want to do more. I mean, look at Tom Brady, right? No matter how many Super Bowl rings he won, he was coming back to try to win another one. He was never like, you know what, at this point I got enough money, I got enough rings, I'm just gonna play for the love of the game. No, he was not gonna continue to play for the love of the game. If he didn't have the opportunity and he wasn't on a team that had a chance to go to the Super Bowl and win, he wasn't gonna stick around, or he wouldn't have stuck around on that team at least. He wanted those Super Bowl rings. He played for those Super Bowl rings. You have to find happiness and be at peace with content in order to stop that just continuous cycle, that never-ending cycle. And that's tough. Like, you really have to find the things, the people, the places that really make you happy and fill whatever void it is that is in your heart, is in your mind. I know when I was real heavy in my faith and in my walk with God and very involved in the church, I had this passion to volunteer and to do things. But I noticed I was going from opportunity to opportunity, because after volunteering in one spot for a certain time, I desired something else. I don't want to say I got bored of that, but it was no longer as exciting and thrilling and as fun, and I just had to find something else. And that's why I went from different ministry to different ministry. I think that's why even today when I look back at it, some of y'all don't know this, but I used to rap. I actually got a song on iTunes, had a song played on local radio. I used to rap, and I performed at churches, and I performed at events and revivals and things to this nature. Like, I did that. I played basketball in city leagues. I wrestled in high school. I always searched for something else to give me that thrill, to give me that passion. And to this point, running has really done it on its own, but that's where the races and events and things like that come into play, because I still seek that. I'll even throw in shoes, like gear and things like that. Like, I got a new vest to train and prepare for my race, and it really just motivated me to get up one day and run earlier than I normally do, and even run a little bit longer. I was excited, but a good 10-15 miles into that, I was like, all right, this is worn off. I'm ready to end this run and go home. Like this was cool for a while, but it's still the same thing, right? It's the same routine. Knowing I have this race coming up, pushes me through, but I know that the race ends on a Sunday, so I know when I wake up that next Monday morning, it's already going to start to fade. And by Tuesday, it'll probably be gone. And when I come back home and I'm no longer in New York, it's really going to hit me like, okay, what's next? What race can I sign up for next? What distance maybe can I chase? What goal can I set for myself to chase? And that's just it. Like again, whether it's drugs, alcohol, school, career, education, relationships, whatever it may be in our lives, I feel like a lot of us continue to chase because we're looking for the wrong things to fill the void in our heart. We're looking for that one thing that's going to continuously make us happy and do it forever. And unfortunately, I can't really think of anything that is going to do that on its own, because it involves give and take. And that's why I go back to the relationship side of things. At least with relationships, you have that other person that you can communicate with, and you guys can change things up and spice things up and do that. Where I've done races multiple times, and even though they change things up with different medals, different swag, different courses, different ideas and themes and all this stuff, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still the same race when you think about it. It's mentally, you feel a different way about it. And I think that's just what it is. We're always seeking whatever it is that gives us that dopamine, that high feel, that thrilling feel, that exciting feel, where once it's gone, we feel empty. We feel left out, feel like we're missing something. We don't feel whole and fulfilled. And whatever it may be in your life, whoever it may be, wherever it may be, again, you really have to sit down and evaluate yourself and your life and your goals, your dreams, your wants, your needs, your desires, your passions, all these things. And consider how you felt when you had nothing. When I went to Haiti, each trip got more and more humbling and more eye-opening. And I realized people were living in some of the toughest situations and environments that I had ever witnessed, especially in person. I'd seen things like this on TV or YouTube or wherever, documentaries, but not in person. And to see how happy and full of joy they were, despite having damn near nothing, and for sure nowhere near anything most of us have, even the handful of us that think we have nothing or barely anything, we still have way more than a lot of these people have. And yet they still were happier than us. And you walk into some of these houses and some of these schools and some of these orphanages, and you think you're going to go and make them happy. And yet you're the one that walks out happy. You're the one that walks out like, I needed them. I needed this visit for me more than they needed the visit. And it was eye-opening and humbling again, because you realize we're chasing so many of the wrong things to find happiness when you can really find it within yourself. And yeah, there are things, people's, places that can help enhance that and add to that feeling. But if you can't find it within, you're most likely not going to find it anywhere else. And that's where it starts. You got to find the happiness within. Be okay with being content. That doesn't mean you get lazy and you don't try to, again, enhance your skills, your abilities, your education, your knowledge. But don't feel like you have to chase these things. If that becomes your idol, then you're just going to be left down each and every time, as many of us will admit we do, because we just get caught up in that, and we don't ever find what we're truly looking for, and we don't find it in the things, people, and places that we're looking for it. So I guess in this shorter episode, I thought it was going to be a lot longer, but I think I hit all the points I really wanted to hit. And I think trying to find any other analogies or examples, scenarios that I could come up with would just be, what do they call it? Beating a dead horse, something like that. Like, you guys get where I'm going at this point. So anything else I say, it won't really help, to be honest. And I don't want to drag this on. It was like the third episode in a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm on fire right now. But in all seriousness, again, until the next episode, guys, just like I said in the previous episode, slow down, stop if you have to, take a moment, evaluate what's going on around you, what's going on in your life, what you're chasing. Do you really need it? Do you really want it? Or are you getting caught up in other people's goals and other people's dreams, or what other people are telling you you need and want? Is it really what you want and need? Because a lot of times I chased a lot of things that I thought other people would like me for or be proud of me for. And I make this joke to a lot of people that, because if you've done ultras, specifically 100-mile races, a lot of times you cross that finish line and there's nobody there. Sometimes the race directors aren't even there. They might be sleeping. It's a long event, usually 30 to 32 hours. And you get to that finish line and you look around and it's like, okay, what's next? Where is everybody? Where's the balloons? Where's the confetti? Where's the celebration? We hit a lot of these goals in our life in silence, alone, in privacy, where no one else knows until we tell them. And we usually tell them because we want that recognition, those words of affirmation. Is that what you're seeking? What you're seeking for? Is it for that praise, that recognition, to be lifted up, for your pride, for your ego? Is it because you really, really want it? Something you're really passionate about, you really love, you really desire. Something that really does make you happy. So until the next episode, think about those things. Consider what changes you can make, whether giving up some things or starting some new things. And just make sure you're truly happy with yourself and what you're doing with your life.
Thanks for listening to the Mile You're In podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.